Smart strategy, real conversations, bigger margins. This is Chasing the Margin podcast.
Welcome back to Chasing the Margin. Today we have Mr. Marty Carney. Marty, thank you for coming on, joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So Marty, tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, who you are as a person.
Wow, that's a loaded question. There's a lot there. So I just did the two things that you said that you shouldn't do. I said and so. I just realized that.
Yeah, you'll catch it a lot.
So I'm married, 29 years, beautiful bride, Shannon. We met while I was playing country music. I was a musician back in the day. I went to UNT and studied jazz. And then you can't really find a great career if you're an okay jazz player. So you go into country, and we played top 40 country for a few years. And that's where I met my wife in a local bar. Actually really close to here at the West End. Used to be a place called Froggy Bottoms.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we played there one weekend, and that's where we met. I have two girls. My oldest is now a doctor of chiropractic. She's working out of a place called Dynamic Chiropractic in Plano. That's a plug for you, so hopefully she gets some business. And then let's see, my youngest daughter is now her second half of PA. She's getting a PA degree, and she's out at Mississippi College, and she just finished her first rotation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into the business side of things, what kind of instrument did you play back then?
Back then, a lot of electric bass, but then the upright bass was my favorite. But I had no idea. I never touched an upright bass until I went to college, and then I realized that it's all about the upright bass and playing jazz.
Yeah, it's so funny because the first guest that we had on, he actually went to school on a vocal track.
Yeah.
He basically said the same thing that you did. He was like, quickly found out that there's not really a lot of money to be made in that industry unless you really hit it big. So he kind of took a different career path similar to you and went into the business route.
Yeah. I probably wasn't as smart as he was. I didn't learn that too quickly, but my whole goal when I was in high school was to be the best heavy metal bass player on the earth. And the only place that I could afford and go to was this place called UNT that had this jazz program. And I said, well, I should go there. And I think I'm going to be really good. And I've only played bass for about a year up until that point. And so I went there and just got destroyed. But the great part is that I just worked hard, and I just kept with it. And what I realized is that I was an entrepreneur. I was doing something that I didn't know didn't know much about. And then I just put the time and effort to learn everything I could about it. And then I also worked hard, and I made something of it. What I came to realize was I don't fall asleep playing my instruments like my roommates did, and then wake right up and start playing again. They had a passion that I didn't have. But what I did love is being able to do something that I didn't know I could do, grow something, and then be successful out of it. And I took that into the regular world after that. But yes, trying to make money, and when you're losing your hair, and you just can't go into a hair band back then,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to wear wigs the rest of my life, and so I also was starting to get old and tired, and coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning wasn't fun anymore to me.
Yeah, that does not sound fun to me either.
No.
So got out of college. You said you met your wife in college.
Yes.
What did the life after college look like from there?
Well, let's see. I did one of the worst things, or maybe the best thing. I told my wife that she was the one on our very second date. And that is dating 101. You just don't do that. And I've never done that before, but I just felt the need to tell her. And she stuck with me. She didn't say it back. She just stuck with me. And then 6 months later, we're madly in love, because that's when she finally said, okay, we're really going to be called a dating couple now, So I felt like as soon as you said that, my life was set. About a year later, I proposed, and then a year after that, we're married, and we got right into having kids. So we did the three major things within 2 months. I started my first business. I we moved homes, and then we had our first child, all within 2 months. So that was a lot.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Do you think that was still the most stressful period of life you've ever gone through?
No, because I didn't know better. I think that's the beauty of a lot of entrepreneurs. We don't know better. We just say, okay, well, that's in front of me. I'll handle it. And then you look back and you go, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But it was great. It was a fun time.
Okay. So back then you said you started your first business. Was that one of the businesses that you still run today, or was that a completely different thing?
That was the original business, WCI Consulting.
Okay.
We started that back in 1998. We thought, we didn't know what we thought. We just said we were in a great market in technology. You throw a rock and 10 businesses want your services. Remember back then, the CIO had a lot of power. And technology was really big. And then this thing called the .com bust happened shortly after we started. And then unfortunately, soon after that, 9/11 happened too. So we rose really quick and then fell really fast. But looking back on that too, right? You say, was that a stressful time? I think that was a little more stressful, but that taught me how to become a business person, to really understand loyalty. That was a challenge. I didn't understand it that well because I got into this thinking I'm going to make a lot of money. And that was one of my biggest lessons learned, is that you don't chase money because you make the wrong decisions. Your decisions are based off of something that's not really inside you. What's inside you is to build great culture, help people, make a business thrive, and with that, go help other people. But I was too young and foolish. I was chasing something that I thought I needed and wanted, but in the end, it just was it was a tough time. But after that, that's what helped me when I was going through all this, see myself in the mirror that is not who I really am. That's not what God made me to be. So I quickly pivoted and changed a lot of things and started really doing the things that I was meant to do.
Well, you mentioned loyalty, and you learned a lot about loyalty during that time. Was it loyalty to others coming from you, or the loyalty that others were giving to you to stick with you even through those hard times?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Troy. I can't say loyalty from them to me. I think it's always from me to them. I don't know what's in their heart and what's in their mind, but I can tell you this, that the way I treated them, they probably weren't loyal because I wasn't loyal. So it starts with the leader. I looked at it as this was a revenue-generating opportunity. I did care about them, and we did have a good time, but when it was tough, I don't think I was a mature leader at that time, and they quickly left because they had to go to the better opportunities, and we were losing a lot of our opportunities. Everybody was back then. So I think for me, it was a time to really do a lot of reflection on who I really am. What I'm doing is really not who I am, and then how do I get myself back on track?
Yeah. Well, I really take to heart trying to learn from others, for lack of a better way of putting it, others' mistakes and their wisdom and their experiences that they've gone through. And that's why I like to sit down with people and just hear their stories, is to learn from what they have going on. So do you think back then, because I tell myself this, at least when I'm having a struggle, okay, this is a struggle, and even though it's tough and I'm working harder than I feel like I have to, I'm gaining because I'm learning from this experience.
Yes.
Do you feel like back then you had that mindset, or is that something that maybe today's Marty knows a lot better than back then's Marty?
Today's Marty knows way more than back then Marty. But I was perceptive. I had some wisdom. When you're young, you know you're doing wrong, but you don't do the things to stop it. When you're old, like me now, you know you're doing wrong and you stop it. You just have more maturity. You know, there's not this young, aggressive side to you. There's a lot more wisdom, patience. But I, like you, went through failure, through mistakes. I don't know too many people that learn when things are going really good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, at least back then, and this is one of the things that I was thinking about when I was thinking about coming in today, you had enough wisdom to see the future with, technology being a huge thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, maybe back in the late 90s, mid 90s, why did you even choose to get into that in the first place? Because like you said, around the dot-com bubble, there was all this skepticism about what the internet was, what was going to evolve from all this. And I'm sure not everybody had the foresight to even entertain getting into this industry in the first place.
Well, yes. There was a big correction in technology, but where there wasn't a correction was in data. Everybody knew that data was going to be some kind of play, kind of like what you're hearing now, right? AI is, how are we making sense of AI? But I haven't met too many people that said AI is going away. It's just they're trying to figure it out, but it's going to stay and it's going to grow. And the same, and that all started from the data play. When back in '98, it was all enterprise reporting. That was the hot topic. Then it went into BI and data warehousing, big data. That was always a fun term. Not many people had big data, but for some reason they all wanted it. But most people had a lot of data, but just not big data. Mm-hmm. Facebook, big data. Other multi-billion-dollar companies, they just had a lot of data. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of fun. It still is a lot of fun to see how this is evolving. But I tell you, it is changing so rapidly right now. Mm-hmm. Do you even hear many people talking about large language models anymore?
Right.
They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't that long ago that was a buzz, right? So it is evolving into an area that a lot of us just aren't used to, and we built business models around there's a bell curve that shows how technology gains momentum and then it starts to go on the backside, but then it gains momentum again. 6 months, all of a sudden you got something new that everybody wants, and then it just keeps evolving into something else. So I think technology is great, but I think when you get into the data side, it's really, really impactful, and I don't think that's going to go away. And the funny thing is that what we're dealing with today, we dealt with all the way back then, which is bad data. If you put in bad data, you're going to have bad results. And it's the same thing with AI. And it's so funny how that just hasn't changed. That's the one constant in all this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even reading through WCI's website and, all the different links and offerings that you guys offer as a company, data is used very prevalently throughout the website itself. And I really am a data nerd to a certain extent. Like even at the firm, I love to pull reports and comb through the data and try to read like, okay, what is this telling me? And what can we do to improve based off this information? And then I'm reading through WCI's website and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
Preach on. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really good. I think data metrics, all that is phenomenal. But what we're seeing today and what we've been preaching for a long time is it's not so much the data. It's not so much the metrics. It's the questions that you ask. Mm-hmm. You ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer. But you can start formulating questions. I think the ones that know how to ask the right questions, compound that with other right questions, gets to really good data.
Mm. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the dot-com bubble, because that's something that you definitely have a unique perspective from with some of the guests that we've had on because of your industry. And I would love to hear more about it. So going through that, what was it like? Was there like skepticism around the internet in general? were there times where you even questioned whether WCI was going to be able to get through that? Like, what was the experience like as an entrepreneur that was still fairly new back then?
Yes. Well, I did have many of those thoughts. Are we going to make this through? Make it through this? But I think it was, the bubble had to be burst because men and women were building businesses off greed and off paper. I mean, these businesses were generating no money, and they were selling for millions and millions of dollars or getting funding for millions and millions of dollars, and there was no action or produce anything that was produced from that. It had to bust. So I think it's more of the model and it's more of greed. And we see it all the time, right? The housing crisis, that was another one, right? That we were greedy for certain things and we packaged things the way we did, right? And it's going to happen again. We got to, and actually out of that is around 2015, I wanted to increase our portfolio and make us a lot more market strong, so we can have a lot of portfolio companies out there, yes, in data, but in different areas of data, some software, some services in different industries and different markets and verticals. And that's where I created ASAF Ventures back then. And that's what we were going to be, a venture company that we were going to either acquire or start up or build ourselves or branch off from certain divisions of our company.
Okay. Well, then you've kind of like hinted at this, and I want to make sure we get like a clear answer on between WCI, ASAF Ventures. What exactly is it that those two entities do? What do you provide to customers? What do you do, period?
So ASAF Ventures is the housing company that has brands underneath it. WCI Consulting was the original company. Legally, that still is the original company. Branding-wise, we have ASAF Ventures as the venture company. WCI is a heavy data management, very services-based. Think of the old time of consultants, right? Business intelligence consultants, analytics, data lakes, data warehousing, movement of data cleansing. We've done it all, and we've seen it all. That company is started in '98 and is still operating today and doing very well. We have other companies that we build software specific to the construction and real estate industry, asset management. That one is exciting, heavy data intensive, and that's an interesting one that could move into a really nice AI play around workflow continuity with AI. And so we're seeing that with all of our companies as well. So I don't want to veer off. So ASAF Ventures, the name ASAF is biblical. It's King David's head musician. He wrote 12 Psalms, and he had Asaphites that helped him write these Psalms. The name Asaph is scattered throughout the Old Testament. They also were keepers of the covenant of the ark. But the main one was King David's head musician. And so that kind of rang with me since I tried to be a musician at one time. The other is that his name means covenant, collector of things. Okay. And so what was impressed on me when I started going down this road was that I'm going to be a collector of companies. And I'm going to teach them how to run companies the right way, because I've made lots of mistakes in my past, and I get to share those with these companies, and we get to grow in that vein.
Okay. Well, we'll kind of go more into the business stuff and talk about that here in a second. But sure. I want to kind of take a moment and talk about the biblical side of things and let you kind of share about that, because obviously it was important back then. I know you today, and it's still important today. How has that kind of played into running a business for you with being a faith-driven entrepreneur?
Yeah. So it's easy if you let it be. As many people of the Christian faith know that there's a worldly view, especially in business, and then there's another view. And so, yes, we always hear these words of integrity, right? You do the things you do when nobody's looking, right? How do you treat people? How do you treat people that have done you wrong? How do you treat customers that are very financially driven and only financially driven? How do you treat other Christian brothers and sisters that aren't the best employees? You know, do you only hire Christian employees, which I don't think is the right thing to do. You should definitely not hire all Christian employees, because how are you going to reach them? How are you going to show them the right things to do? So I believe that we're handed challenges all the time, and whether people see you do it or not, it shouldn't be your path and the way you go out to do by doing business. Just do it the right way. I have a faith that I adhere to, and I make sure that I run the businesses that way. Some days I don't hear anything about it, and other days I do. But that's not my drive. People will watch you, and some won't say anything at all.
Yeah. I really admire that about people who have a faith background, and, you know, they basically live their faith out, and they don't really need to stand on a mountaintop and tell everybody that they're a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to talk about it when it's brought up in conversation, and like you said, to share it with other people, and that's the mission behind being a Christian to a certain extent. But a lot of it, you know, is just, are you really doing the right thing, as you said, behind the curtain? Is it that you say one thing when you're out in public, but then when the difficult decision has to be made, where the right thing is not the best thing for you, but it is the right thing?
Yes.
That's when, to me, the real faith is expressed.
And those challenges are throughout the 25-plus career in running businesses. You can't not get around that. And there are some sleepless nights that you have, because you're fighting it. You're fighting what is the right thing and the human side of whatever it is: anger, greed, fear. You know, there's a lot of things, but in the end, when you do the right thing, it is an incredible blessing. And that's the blessing, is with the relationship with Christ. I don't know if there's a blessing that somebody else sees that watches it, but I do have to say that I know a lot of people that talk about it but then don't live it. And so it's your actions that you do is what really shows who you're going to be.
Well, you mentioned, you know, hiring people, whether they be Christians, whether they not be Christians, and I agree with your opinion on, you know, just because they're not Christians doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't hire them as employees. So I kind of like that perspective. But let's talk about specifically hiring and talk about the employees and running a business. So eventually WCI got to a point, I mean, even back then, you said during some of the .com stuff, you had employees back then. How did that decision tree go for you when you decided to hire? How many employees does WCI have now? How was kind of the growth of the company over all these years?
Yeah, so we grew really rapidly, and we lost probably about 90% of our employees during the bust. And I would say that I was a believer back then, but I wasn't acting like a believer. So I was using more of my words than anything else, and my actions didn't agree to it. So I had to have that fall to realize that there's more to life than what I was thinking at a young age. So that's evolved into where it's at today. We have many employees, but we're scattered within all these businesses now. And what I found is that we do a lot more with less these days because of technology and the things that we can do. We got really smart people that work for us. We have many that are with us like almost 20 years.
Wow.
So we keep a lot of our people. There have been some that didn't last even within a month. So I like to say that we hire great, but there are times that you just make the wrong hire, and there are just misunderstandings and however. But you treat them well on the way out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you mentioned this kind of earlier, and this, in my opinion, it's a real hot topic for me, I guess, personally, with people that I've heard talk about and just trying to do my best as being one of the owners in the firm is culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about culture a lot, and I think that sometimes maybe business owners don't understand how important that is, especially kind of like you're saying maybe in your earlier years you wouldn't have understood it. How do you feel about culture today and its importance, and how do you what do you do to think about that within the company?
I think culture, there's got to be an authenticity of culture. When I was younger, I tried to manufacture culture. I also tried to, I thought culture was fun. Mm-hmm. Let's go have fun. Let's go to the bar, right? Mm-hmm. Let's do a crazy company trip to Vegas. Nothing good came from that, mm-hmm. you know? And I remember feeling awkward about it, but I was thinking that that's what culture was. There was nothing authentic about it. It was feeding our own desires and the things that we thought we should do. Mm-hmm. And so where culture is today, it's exciting because people are true. People are, we have a Bible study that we do every Monday at 12 o'clock at our office. It's voluntary. You know, most people don't come. Mm-hmm. It's okay. The culture is great. Nobody feels that they are forced to come. I'm not walking around going, hey, you need to come and all that stuff, and, you know, then somebody gets fired. None of that happens. We get together, come and hang out, and let's understand more of his word together. I think, to me, that in itself is great culture, and I think and we put out great product. We put out great work. We all enjoy each other during the good times and hard times, and there's always time to talk and work things through when there's either a difference of opinion in a meeting, not in a meeting, whatever. We all sit down and we just work things out. Mm. And to me, that sounds like a really, well, not to me, it may sound like a really boring culture, but it's the right culture. There isn't these things on the wall. There isn't these crazy events that everybody does. The culture is, we got a lot of people that have been with us for almost 20 years. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And we still like each other.
That's a bigger deal.
That's a bigger deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I hear you saying is we watch all these movies and the culture is, we go to all these events and we do all these big things and we travel to these cool cities. And that's what the movies preach, is culture of these companies that people want to work for. But kind of what it boils down to is maybe the consistency and the safeness of knowing that we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to provide a good service. Those things are really what makes a company's culture a good place to work.
Yeah. Again, we're authentic. You know, We're not trying to be something or somebody that we're not.
Yeah. Well, not only does your company have a good culture, but you guys also offer lots of good products and services. And I want to kind of jump into maybe some of the real specific things that you guys do with some of my questions. So on the website, you list out a lot of things around BI consulting or BI consultant. Explain to us what exactly that is.
Okay. Well, it's basically a way to understand the data that you have. So BI is a term coined a long time ago, early 2000, and it's evolved into many things. We used to go back and forth in our company saying BI is dead, right? It's still around. BI is used within everything that we're doing today. It's just we're calling it different flavors and different brands. But think of it this way. Consultant comes in to sit down and help you understand your business, help you understand the data so you can make better decisions in your company. That's what AI is doing. It's just doing it differently, right? And more modern, right? So that's what a BI consultant is. So you can't just come in and be smart. you got to also know how to build a relationship. You got to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to run to the fire and not run away from the fire. Some of our best customers that we've had are when in the first week we've had a bump in the road. Sometimes it wasn't our fault. Sometimes it was our fault. We step up and we say we did it and let's work it through, and we do, and everything works. And they've been our customers for over 15 years. And that's really hard to do in this type of environment or this society these days, is to have a customer that long.
Yeah. So as a consultant, are you guys like a fractional CIO, CTO? Like, what exactly is it that you guys do? And it sounds like you have like a long-term relationship with your clients that you keep them over years, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Troy, it's all, this is, if anybody watching right now and you're in this field, I'm going to say something that you've said 1 million times, which is it depends. Right. It depends is the two words that consultants in many professions love to say, because it does. Mm-hmm. Do we come in to be a fractional CIO at times? Are we just in there to do a project and there's a start and an end, and that's all they need us for sometimes? But really what we love to do and what we're called to do is to actually have us come in and be these knowledge experts within a certain area of the industry, data and something, data and lift and shifts up into the cloud, understanding data lakes, understanding AI, really understanding where AI is going. People they look at us as the experts, and we're going to help them understand that. Yes, we do development. Yes, we do projects. Yes, we'll do the full life cycle of whatever they're needing. But that's a lot of what we do. There's a technical side of it, but I would say as a consultant, there's more of a human side of it, and a relationship building and understanding business, how to work with people.
Yeah. Well, I get where you're coming from on a lot of that, and I'm in a similar role, just in a different industry than you, where the relationship, the communication is just as important as the technical skills, because if you can't communicate clearly, then the client's not going to understand what you're even saying.
That's right.
And they're not going to understand why you're useful in the first place. So
right.
Let's put Marty's sales hat on.
Okay.
And I want you to give me the specific example that a client comes in and you're talking about the BI consulting thing, or maybe just a service they're looking for. The easiest way for me to sell a client is to tell them a win in one of my stories about what I've done with a client. So talk to us about maybe one of the things that you guys have done for a client. How did it help them? What was the practical aspect of that sales story that you're going to tell me? Because I have lots of them, and I love to talk about them, and I'm sure you have lots of those wins as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have many wins. Let's see. I would say in the last 5 years, I'm not at that level anymore. Right? I have a lot of the guys in the company. They do a wonderful job. Let's see. I don't know if I can use names. I'll try and do it, be as general as I can.
Yeah.
One industry during COVID that thrived was the makeup and eyeliner.
Okay.
Because women were wearing masks and they didn't care so much about lipstick, but they cared a lot about their lashes. And there was a company that gave us a call, and I was talking to the CEO. They were around I believe they were hitting a certain EBITDA. When he was done, I think they were about 10 times that. They didn't know much about technology. They had an incumbent in there that was doing other technology things with them, but nothing of the data management that we could do for them. They were on a growth trajectory of acquiring tons of small boutiques and other larger boutiques to come into the fold. We did a lot of data lake creation and data movement for them, and we made these acquisitions very seamless for them. The interesting thing is that we gave them our statement of work at the beginning. and he calls me, and this is funny. He goes, Marty, you guys, do you know what you're doing? And I said, yeah, we do. What's going on? And he goes, you're a lot cheaper than who we have. And I go, okay. So that makes it seem like we don't know what we're doing. And he said, yes, it does. And so I asked him, I go, so do you feel like you can, that if you pay twice as much, we're going to be better? And he goes, well, now that you put it like that, you know, and it just gave me the opportunity. See, every deal is different, and we're proud of what we do, and we do a really good job, but we also do it at a very fair price, and we're not taking advantage of people. But I had no idea that he was going to come and tell me that and ask me those questions and actually question if we were any good. And by the way, that was 2021, and we're still in there.
Wow.
We're still doing work with them. So the cool thing, Troy, is that I got to actually tell him more about my faith and why we do things a certain way. I'm not saying that faith makes you charge less or charge more. It had nothing to do with that. It just had everything to do with, this is my honest answer to you, and this is why we do what we're doing. And he goes, that sounds good. And he actually said, that's my faith as well. Let's give you guys a shot. And again, the rest is history. We're still in there today. So it's I hope that answered your question about that. A little bit different, because I think you were thinking I was going to give you something else, but that to me was the one that resonated the most. And he and I are still friends. We hang out. We have lunch together all the time. Wow. He's no longer with that organization. He's doing other great things somewhere else. But that was, to me, those are the fun meetings. Not so much winning the deal. That was good. But having a new friend for life, that was pretty cool.
Well, you definitely took me on a different route than I thought you were going to, but it's actually really interesting the way that you answered it, because it sparked a lot of other questions that I have around that are real practical to what we're trying to talk about. So let's talk about really the specifics, as specific as we can, first, and then I have another interesting question on what you said. So as far as the work that you guys did, what exactly was it that the client was looking for? Was it they had all this data and they were trying to understand it, and you guys came in and processed it in a way that could be understood so that they could make better decisions? Like, what exactly did you help them with?
Think about it this way. You, in your business, all of a sudden, at one time, you get 10 different clients in 10 different industries, and they want you to do their tax returns that day. That's a nightmare, right?
Yeah,
that's
impossible.
Impossible. So they were doing the same thing, heavy acquisition mode. And when you acquire somebody, you got different systems that you got to make talk to your main system.
Okay.
So we understand how to do that. So there's a lot of data. You got to be able to set it up in the right environment and right system. We did that. Then we take these disparate systems and started attaching those into what we call data lakes for that particular opportunity. That was the best solution for them. So we made acquisitions go smooth.
Oh.
So when they're looking at numbers, right? Because when you're trying to find out how are we doing as an entity, and you got a lot of acquisitions going, you got a lot of opportunity for trouble and mistakes and bad data. So we helped them understand that, one, we gave them good data, we transferred the right files over or the right data over, and then they were able to be able to report and analyze their own company on how they're doing.
Yeah, well, I think anybody that's in business definitely understands that anything around M&A, period, is extremely important. That's one of the most sensitive times within a business's life cycle, is selling or acquiring. And I think that making that whole process smoother with better data, with easier to understand, I don't think that could be understated with how important that is. So,
And one bad mistake when they create a report that they give to their board and it's got the wrong data in there, that's it.
Right.
For a lot of people, not just yourself, but also for the people that are relying on us. So trust is really big. So we got to make sure that we have the right people working for that entity, but then also they just got the right character.
Yeah.
They care. They really want them to succeed. And if that happens, then we do. I mean, we'll do really good work.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the other really interesting thing that you said during that story that you definitely took me for a left turn on, and that's the pricing thing. So when it comes to pricing, we even get similar reactions in our field where basically a client is saying you're charging so little that because of how much your competitor is charging, there's no way that you understand what we're asking,
right,
or that you could comprehend how to, in my field, process this tax return.
Yeah.
So a couple questions on that. One, have you had to change pricing models because of that to price higher? It's not even necessarily to increase the bottom line. Part of it, to an extent, is just to say, hey, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Have you had to go through that before with WCI or ASAF, any of the other entities?
It is a tough battle. And I have to say this, Troy, I'm always trying to increase pricing.
Yeah.
And not because I'm a greedy person, but, just go out and buy a steak today. It's a lot more expensive. I bought a barbecue sandwich from, what's that place in McKinney? Best barbecue ever. That thing's close to $20.
Yeah.
Just for a barbecue sandwich. Nothing, no sides or drink or anything. Things are expensive, right? So how are we we have to start doing that, right? So that's a challenge. And what also is a challenge, Troy, is that you and I are in the services industry. It's really hard to differentiate until you're in a client, working with the client. That's how you can show you got better customer support, you got better follow-up time, a whole slew of things. But before then, you're just trying to convince them, right? And the funny thing is lowering your price usually doesn't.
Yeah.
Increasing your price does.
Yeah.
It's human nature, right? So sometimes I wouldn't suggest trying this, but maybe you do come and have a very low price just so you can get the person on the phone so they can talk to you, and ask you, what the heck are you doing? Why are you thinking this way? At least you can explain something. That wasn't my plan with that earlier story.
Yeah.
But as I'm thinking through it, there is no really good strategy. Now I'll say this too. I think we're moving into a market because AI is changing a lot of things. And I think this whole hourly rate, I know the accounting profession really wants to get rid of it. I don't really care for it either. I think some kind of retainer or subscription, that would be, if we can, and I think we're heading in that direction with AI, because it's going to be very outcome-based, and it's not per hour anymore. What did you solve for me? What did your agentic AI do for me? And we just send them a report and say, you had a problem. It was already fixed. Keep going. That's a great outcome.
Yeah.
And that is not an hourly thing. That is a lot different. And I think the right companies on the services side are going to start figuring this out and changing their model. They're going to have to evolve.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump face first. You've tiptoed around the AI subject basically this whole time. So let's jump into it. One of my questions that I'm so curious about with really anybody, because you and I both know AI is going to change everybody's life, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And you're in technology. So I hear people talk about, like, even software engineers now coming out of school having a hard time getting a job because for the entry-level people, AI can do a lot of their job. do you think that AI will have a major impact on what you guys do? And then do you think that AI has the capability to replace you guys, or will it make you more efficient as a company?
Yeah. I would say this, don't fear it, right? Because when you fear something, then you end up making bad decisions about about things that you shouldn't. There's great opportunity. You have to evolve with it. If you're not evolving, then people are passing you up, and that's how it is in business in general. But I can't speak for what it's going to be like in 50 years. That's way too far in the future, and technology is changing too fast. But I can speak for where we're at today, and it is like the Wild West, or the Oklahoma land grab. Everybody, there is so much opportunity right now because of this. There's a huge buzz. Think about the IP that you can create based off of workflows in a certain industry that you've been in for the last 20 years. Think about the accounting profession and the workflows that you can create agentic AI to solve some problems that the junior resource will be, they're going to have to evolve into something else. Or there's also AI plus human interaction, you know. So what AI can't do, I don't want to say ever, but what it can't do is it doesn't have the intuition that a human does. You and I go in and we sit down and we talk with a customer, and they give us a problem. AI can answer it 20 different ways, but it's not going to sit there and ponder and work through it with you in a journey, because the customer may not know the right questions to ask, and we know how to pull it out of them. Now, AI is getting better and better about stuff, but it doesn't have that part. So the junior resource, the grunt work, it's going to take a lot of them on that. But the thinking, the leaders, the guys that are out there acquiring business, sitting down and working through problems with customers, it's going to be really hard to fix and to replace. So I think there's going to be a move into strategic AI. The guys that know how to work with AI, you know, the mechanic that knows how to fine-tune the Porsche, right, and better than anybody else, that's still there. It's going to be there. So there's great opportunity. And I think right now it's a big grab. What do you have great knowledge in? Because services companies, it's hard for them to have IP. So I think there's more of a move for the services company to act like more of a software company with AI. You're going to be able to do a lot more with less people. You're going to be able to create great IP. A defensible moat is what we call it right now. And where you're able to have IP that is based around your knowledge, codifying your knowledge, your experience into this particular software that you support, that you sell as a subscription to a certain industry. They can't live without it. And guess what? All the data that you're harnessing and holding on to, that's future data.
Yeah.
What are you going to figure out? What's your science against that data? How are you going to find new markets that data works just as well in, right? So there's a lot. It's being defined. We're figuring it out. But man, it's a lot brighter than bleak.
Yeah. I think that's a great explanation of kind of like what AI is generally and how it's going to be used in the workplace, at least, like you said, how you see it in the near future, because there's no way to kind of forecast 50 years out.
Right.
It's going to change so much between now and then. There's no way to know. But that's the way that I see it, is it will replace a lot, because it can give you all those answers, but there's no way, at least currently, that it can anticipate, you know, those outcomes that the client's really looking for, that they don't know they're looking for, but because as a human, you've been in those situations so many times with so many different clients, you kind of know where they're going, even if they're not telling you or asking you,
Right.
this is what they're looking for.
Right.
So,
I can't see AI anytime soon figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I even, one of the most interesting things that I've seen recently was actually this weekend, watching football. I think it was on Microsoft Copilot. I don't know if it was Copilot's ad or if it was a different ad, but it was advertising Microsoft Copilot. But it was an advertisement with an assistant, and basically like 4 or 5 different people within her business said, I need all of these things done by like 2 hours from now. And they intentionally made it so unbelievably possible that one human being can make this happen.
It's amazing.
Just to prove it. And then you see her like going through and saying, Copilot do this, Copilot do that, Copilot do this. And then all of a sudden she's got like all of those tasks chipped off in like a 5-minute period.
Right.
Just because it has the ability to process everything that she's being asked to do by her simply telling it what to do.
Right.
And I think that's what AI will do, is it will do a lot of the, like, kind of like what you said, grunt work for you, but you have to know the right things to tell it to do, the right questions to ask so that it gives you the right answer.
That's right.
I mean, it all goes back to, like you said earlier, if you sit in front of somebody and you give them the wrong answer, aka the wrong data, then they're never going to trust you again. You lose that trust.
If you ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer too. Yeah. I do love things like ChatGPT. It makes me a great writer. It polishes things up really nicely, and I'm even impressed with my writing style, even though it's not me. This past couple weeks, I was preparing a really large document that would have taken me probably a month to get done. Just through querying and piecemealing it together. Now it came back with all the grunt work words. I still had to put it together in what it should be, but that took me 3 days compared to a month. I had more time to do stuff, other things, like golf. And no, I'm kidding. I don't really care about golf, but it gave me more opportunities to do just other strategic things within the business.
Yeah. Well, one of the funniest things, like, I chuckle every single time this conversation happens within my industry, is I'll have a client call me and they'll say, I'm just looking for a CPA that can give me advice and not just fill out my tax return. And it blows my mind, Marty, that I'm like, there are CPAs out there that literally all they do is fill out a tax return. They don't give any advice. They don't try to be proactive at all.
Right.
And I say that to say, my thought is AI will replace you so soon.
Yes. Because
you're not doing anything to try to think. All you're doing is plugging in numbers.
Yeah.
And, what you're saying is basically it's not just accounting. It's every single industry. You've got to think more than just plugging in the data.
And that's where AI can't come alongside you and be part of your culture. I mean, you can make it a part of your culture, but if somebody that instantly comes in and says, hey, I'm Troy, this is what I do, these are the things that I like, you and I share the same experiences. We both love barbecue and we both love, line dancing. I could see you line dancing, Troy. Not me, but you. But it's things like that. So there's a bond that's already being created, and AI just gives you an outcome that you're happy with, right? Because it's solving an issue that you have in your business or in your life for certain things. That's a great thing. But I think we want more than that. Us as humans, we need more than that.
Well, AI is obviously a big part of everything that you guys are doing, and I'm sure it's a big part of ASAP Ventures and what exactly you guys offer through there. One of the quotes that I thought was really interesting that I just pulled right off the website that I kind of wanted you to expand on is on ASAP's website. It says, looking after specific areas of strategic personal development and operations. And I'm curious, why did you word it that way? How does that sell to your clients? Like, why phrase it that way? What are you trying to do? How do you help people?
Yeah. So everybody's still running a business. And if you come in there to solve the basic problem that they have, that's great. Okay, good. But if you understand it from a big picture, coming at it from a strategic play, then there's more to it. And does it mean more opportunity, more money, more projects, more whatever? Most of the time it does. But people are willing to pay that if you're adding value. If your value is good, it's never going to be at the most basic level. It's going to be around the areas of their business that they care about, which is operations. You can call whatever else you want to call it. You can come up with a different buzzword, like they've done with BI. But in the end, it's the same functioning thing. So let's be strategic about it. Let's figure that out. I got lots of experience that I could help you and walk you through with those things in that area. But what is it that your real problem is? And it's not the problem most of the time that they think when you're walking in, but you can't tell them that. You got to work it through. So I believe that's where that was alluding to that.
Yeah.
That, we're very strategic in our focus, in our direction when we go to a customer. You got to be at the highest level and in thinking, because if you're just solving the problem that they ask you to solve, you're done.
Well, I mean, that statement is so true, because even with us, a client comes in and they say, I want you to save me on taxes. Well, you can do that. I mean, the answer is pretty simple. To not pay taxes, don't make money. There's your answer.
Yeah.
Spend everything you got, don't pay yourself anything.
Right.
And I think that, like you're saying, you have to have the wisdom to think strategically and to think, what is it that you're really asking? Because the reason you're asking to save on taxes is because you want to have more money.
Right.
The reason you want to have more money is that so that you can spend it on line dancing, golf, barbecue, whatever it may be. The reason that you even want to do that is because you want to have experiences. The reason you want to have experiences is because you want to do that maybe with people in your life that are important to you.
Yeah.
So the real thing that you're asking is, how do I do more of the things that I enjoy doing with the people that are important to me? And I think that that's kind of what you're getting at with the ASAF is, we want to help you solve the real problem and think through strategically the things that you're really trying to achieve, and not just be a data entry or a simple solution for you.
Well said, Troy. Maybe I'll bring you on to my next client.
Yeah. I just think it's good, and it's important for people to realize that, it's sometimes just trying to help people. And that's kind of what you've said a lot throughout the podcast, is that's the important thing, is try to help people, try to do right by people, and just try to do what you can with what you got.
Yeah.
So, let's ask just a couple of general questions. One of the ones that we haven't gotten to talk with a client recently that I'd love to hear your thoughts on is the subject matter of luck, hard work, skill.
Okay.
So the simple, easy thing to answer, rank those three.
That's a tough one. It depends.
Why?
Yeah.
It depends.
Luck, hard work, and skill. I mean, luck is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people have won Super Bowls and won car races and all that just based off sheer luck.
Yep.
And others because of hard work, right? And skill, right?
Skill.
Oh, man. So is it just me, or do I have a team?
Just you. Which of those three is the most important for Marty?
Troy, you didn't give me this to prepare for.
You would have pondered on this one all night long.
Yeah, I still wouldn't be able to answer it, I think. Okay, so I think hard work is probably going to be the top one.
Okay.
Because there's discipline in that, and you're putting a lot of time and effort into perfecting your craft, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hard work is great. You cannot skill, you can only get to a certain point, and then there's going to be somebody that's more skilled than you. That's just the way it is. And luck is just a crapshoot. I mean, what do you do? I hope I'm lucky, So
Yeah.
I think the hard work is really number one, skill, and then luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting listening to each one of the guests come on and talk about it, because it's so many different answers for so many
There's not
different
one
reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is, the real answer is, without all three, you can't really achieve anything, because you got to have a certain level of skill.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a certain level of luck involved, and then working hard makes a big difference at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of your family. So you've mentioned them with your wife and your kiddos. What's maybe some of your favorite things to do with your family?
We love vacationing. That's a lot of fun. We love we used to love going to movies. I don't know. The movies these days they just get crazier and crazier to me. So that's, and then walking, my youngest daughter and I would do a lot of walks. My oldest daughter likes to walk with us, but she just loves to just hang out. We're foodies. We love to go out and eat and stuff like that. Wherever we're together, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. One of the podcast hosts that I really like to listen to, he has 2 sons, I believe, and he talks about how different they are, and how one of them, I think he goes to like football, because they live in Europe right now, so they go to soccer games. And then the other one, he likes to go to different cities and explore and do certain things. Is that kind of your experience with your kids?
Oh yeah, both of them are diametrically different. They just to put it in the best context ever, one went to OSU in Oklahoma, the other one went to OU in Oklahoma. So they love each other dearly, but they also are just very different. My oldest is she's very intelligent, up in her mind, and so she reminds me a lot of my brother. She'll tell me a story and leave out the important parts because she just assumes I know, and I'm not that smart. So I'm just I keep asking her questions, and she's getting frustrated with me, and I go, but why did this happen this way? And she's going, and then she looks at me like I should know that, but it's her story. So we have fun with that. My other daughter, she'll explain me the whole story, right? And she's a lot of fun too. They're both, somebody said this to me, they go, if you ever meet somebody just like you, one of you isn't needed. So I love how different they are, how they see life so different. They teach me all the time. And they teach me patience, but they also give me a lot of wisdom from the discussions we have. They're just awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then your wife, so you guys have been together for quite a long time now.
Yes. Yeah.
How?
She's so lucky. I hope she doesn't see this part of it's not true.
We are definitely going to clip that part out.
Thank you.
No, I mean, we're clipping it out and we're putting it on the front of the podcast.
On the front, yes. My wife is so happy to be with me. Yeah, so lucky.
So has she played kind of an important role within even the business and just kind of being a partner and support for you?
She, the most important role. My wife has a faith. Shannon has a faith that is just amazing. When I told you earlier that we did the three major things within a 2-month period, one of them was starting a business. I didn't have any money, and we were moving into a house and had a young kid, and she just goes, "I believe in you." She supported me. She never got in the business with me. She just supported me. She raised our kids, and she was and is a terrific mom. So, but her faith in me always gave me strength to be able to fight through some of the really hard challenges that you have in a 25-plus career.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned your favorite thing to do, or at least one of them as a family, is to travel.
Yes.
Where's one of the fun places you've either traveled to or going to travel to?
Well, we one I can remember was we went to Ireland. So my wife is a redhead, and we have 2 redhead girls, and they've always wanted to go to Ireland. I keep telling them that there's hardly any redheads there; they're all here. And so when we went, though, we had a lot of fun. And Troy, I almost caused an international incident there. So we go to the Cliffs of Moher, and I need to go to the restroom. And there, it was one restroom for both sexes. Everybody had stalls on their door, and everything was great. Nothing weird. And so I'm just going, okay, well, this is, and there was a few others that were like that. So I go, this is the way it is in Ireland. Okay. We're in the airport, and they call to start boarding our plane. And I go, I probably should go to the restroom. And I wasn't paying attention. And I ran into the restroom, and there's this female looking at me, but she's from another country too. And she said something, and I think she was telling me, "You're in the wrong room." And I looked at her, and I go, "Okay." And I go into one of the stalls. And then I'm just in there, and I'm thinking, I think I misunderstood her. And I peeked under the, not under, but I just saw all the feet in the stalls, and I realized I was the only one with male shoes. And so I quickly got out of there. And anyways, that was a funny episode, and my family was in tears when they saw me running out and running over to the other so I can wash my hands.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
But Ireland was good.
Yes.
That's great. And then last thing, and we'll end with this. This is what we always like to have the guests talk about. Whether it's somebody who's getting into entrepreneurship, somebody that's currently in it, maybe going through a hard time, or maybe things are going great. What is your best piece of advice that you would give an entrepreneur?
To do it. Don't, if you truly are an entrepreneur, you find ways to do it. And you should be excited about the success, but even more excited about the failures that you're going to have. And you don't want to ever hurt your family or hurt anybody. But I just think that entrepreneurs figure that out. And I would just say, don't wait for the right time. The right time is right now. And you just got to jump into it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Marty.
Thanks, Troy. Great questions.